The London Gem and Mineral Show is back, taking place at Sandown Park Racecourse on Saturday the 23rd and Sunday the 24th of November. Experience the best of the crystal, mineral and fossil industry as we gather the finest specimens over 2 unforgettable days. You can discover hands-on workshops and activities, crack open your own geodes and delve into talks from the industry experts. And not forgetting that the Opal Whisperers from the Discovery Channel are back, coming all the way from Australia with some show-exclusive pieces in tow. So what are you waiting for? Join us for an immersive journey at the London Gem and Mineral Show, where traders and enthusiasts alike are invited to discover the Earth's natural treasures all under one roof. Book now at thegemandmineralshow.com or follow us on Instagram at The Gem and Mineral Show. We'll see you there. Want to discover London like never before? Step beyond the surface with Wow Tours. Explore the city's hidden spiritual secrets, walk ancient ley lines and uncover the mysteries of London's past, present and future. Brought to you by Wisdom on Wellness and led by renowned crystal author and Akashic Records reader Gemma Petherbridge, these are more than just tours. They're journeys into the heart of London's esoteric history. Book your spot today and see London through a whole new lens. Visit wowtourslondon.com for tickets. Hello and welcome back to the Wow Talks podcast. In today's episode, Sarah Lamptey sits down with the incredible Fats Timbo that was recorded live at Wowfest this summer. Now, Fats is a comedy content creator who has captured hearts worldwide with her quick wit, empowering presence and infectious humour. From her rise to fame through hilarious viral videos to being honoured as Glamour Woman of the Year, Fats' journey is both inspiring and entertaining. In this talk, she shares insights from her best-selling book, Main Character, 10 Commandments to Living Life Fearlessly, offering a powerful blend of humour and wisdom. We'll also hear how Fats uses her comedy to educate and advocate for individuals with dwarfism, making an impact both on stage and beyond. Her unique approach, combining laughter with advocacy, promises an unforgettable conversation that will hopefully leave you inspired to face life's challenges with fearlessness. We hope you enjoy.
Thank you so much for being here. This is such a privilege. I'm Sarah Lamptey. I'm your host. I was here last year as well in a totally different location on Wisdom on Wellness, and it was so nice to be having brilliant conversations with brilliant guests, such as yourself. So, as you know, we're Wisdom on Wellness. We're sponsored by Just for Cacao. There's so much to do outside, but the fact that you all choosing to be in here is really special. So thank you so much for joining the conversation. And it's so brilliant to have you here. That's Timbo. And reading your book was just pure joy. I felt so energized, so enthused. Reading about your story was so brilliant. But you've also just been announced as like as the Paralympics presenter. You're going to be covering the Paralympics. Isn't that amazing? Off to Paris.
Thank you so much. It's going to be insane. I can't believe I'm going to be doing that. I never thought in my wildest dreams, watching it as a young child, looking at representation, and then becoming the representation how many years later. So it's super exciting. I'm going to be doing it with Ellie Simmons, and I'm going to be doing it with so many other amazing people.
Millie Pickles was here last year.
Was she?
Actually, I interviewed her last year.
Amazing. Yeah, so I'm going to be doing it with her as well. So can't wait to be working with them, and I can't wait to be in Paris as well, eating all the croissants. That's what I'm excited for as well.
How did it come about?
It came about when last year they were looking for new, fresh faces, and I was in talks with them. I said to them I'm up for doing it, and they had other people to like basically audition, and then
it was you.
Yeah, it was me. So super cool and super exciting. I can't wait to be out there. It's going to be for, I think it's in August actually, and then until mid-September. So super exciting.
It's so good reading your book and reading your story that your parents have been your biggest cheerleaders. And how did they react to it? I mean, they must have.
My dad, he's so excited. He posts every single thing I do on his Facebook. Like, he's super proud of me. Honestly, having a dad like that is just amazing, because everything I do is like, oh my God, she's amazing. Oh my God, I need to post this. She's amazing. So I'm very thankful for them. And my mum, bless her, she's just, half the time she can't keep up.
You do so much. I mean, we're just researching you is just like, wow, you've got enough for 5 books already. It's incredible. And your parents, is it right? They're mental health nurses? Is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So my dad, he is a mental health nurse, used to be a manager. Now he works with adults with learning difficulties. So growing up, he gave me the tools to actually tackle my mental health. I think having me actually inspired him to do that, to be honest with you, as well. So very thankful to have parents that really supported me, especially growing up, being bullied in school. And, you know, it was really, really difficult. But yeah, they really gave me a superpower to be loved, you know?
Absolutely. So yeah, we will talk about childhood and what that was like, and yeah, what kind of foundations did they lay? Did they instill in you, like you say, the confidence and of course knowing that you're loved and beautiful? And yeah, tell me what kind of parents they were like at that time.
They were, so every time music would be on, I'd be dancing. Every single time. And they thought, you know what, we need to put this girl in dance school. So they told me that, you know, we think you'd be amazing at dance school and it will be a great foundation for you to just help you with your confidence. And it definitely did help with my confidence, being able to perform at musicals and being able to dance and do all different types of activities like ballet, tap, jazz, you name it. I was on stage performing, and it was in front of many, many people as well. So, and it actually provided the work ethic and the dedication that I have now, because it's really tiring going to school and being at dance school as well. I did it like 5 days a week after school, yeah, till like 6 or 7. So it was a grueling schedule growing up, but it was good.
What was that like? Because as a child, I know my dad really wanted me to play the violin, and of course, often actually you actually go against what your parents like say. What was that like for you? Did you feel any sort of pressure to do dancing or
No
anything like
pressure
that?
whatsoever, because I loved going to it every single day. You know, like in school, I found it really difficult fitting in, and you know, people calling me names. And then when I go to dance school, that's when I felt free. That's when I felt like myself. That's when I could just forget about the worries of the day and just be facts. You know.
And when you talk about that experience of being bullied at school, I mean, was this every day? Was there any joy in that time of your life at being at school?
There was joy going home. I'm joking. I found really good friends that supported me. It was just when, like, let's say break time, I'm out in the playground and someone sees me and they call me all types of names, and that was relentless. In the classroom, it was really bad as well. And then I've had a few incidences in secondary school where I had to literally tell the teacher that this person has been cyberbullying me as well. So they were kicked out of school. There was a group of boys one time, they put me in an industrial bin, locked me in there. And that was really traumatic because, like, yeah, I always think about that and how horrible I felt, you know. And I guess obviously kids don't understand something that they don't know. Seeing someone like me, they think I don't know, I felt like a monster back then. I felt like I didn't belong. I felt like I was always wearing a clown costume. Till this day, I think it's difficult walking around and people staring at you, but I notice it less because I'm not focused on that anymore. So back then, I was conscious. I was watching people that are watching me. So it was very, very difficult.
And that it sounds like it never stopped. It was, yeah, like you say, it was constant.
Yeah, you just have to learn how to deal with it better.
Yeah, this is what I was going to say. as a child that not completely crumble you? How do you think it was this dance and obviously your fantastic parents and the springboard that they gave you? How did that not completely sink you?
Um, it did. It definitely did. But I think having my parents to go home to after dealing with a lot in a day or being out and about and people staring at you, pointing at you, helped me forget about those worries, you know? I think if I had a stressful childhood at home and then I had a stressful outside life, then I don't know what I'll be. I don't know if I'll be here, to be honest with you. That's the honest truth. But
What were the
thank God for
school
them.
doing? Because for this to happen relentlessly is absolutely atrocious.
So
What were they doing?
school actually took me outside of lessons sometimes and gave me counselling. They helped me with like sporting activities. So I'd go off and do activities with people with disabilities as well. So they did actually provide that extra support to me, which I desperately needed, and I'm very thankful for. Both schools, primary school and secondary school. So I think they saw that I definitely needed it, and it definitely helped with my confidence.
And I hope that they would have worked with changes to the culture. And of course, like you say, these are small kids. They don't know what they're doing. They're not thinking. And probably as adults, they will look back and that will probably be the worst thing that they could have done,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
And I'm almost certain that that's the case. But your book, like I said, is just so full of joy. And what did it take? And how did the book even come about to begin with?
I've always wanted to write a book. To be honest, I thought my life is so crazy. I didn't go through this life for no reason. I need to share my story. And I've always said this to myself, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a book. And, I told my management that, I want to write a book. And they said, we're going to make it happen. So I was like, okay, let's do it. So we managed to write it. And it was quite stressful actually writing it because I'm dyslexic as well, on top of everything. So it was difficult writing. So luckily, we had a co-writer to help us, and yeah, he was amazing. We had to like dive deep into all the things that I buried in my past, and I realized that. Okay, this is like a therapy session for me because all these things that I didn't actually try to think about or buried, I'm revisiting it as an adult and writing it in my book to help others. So it was actually quite a good thing in the end.
Absolutely. I love the quote that main character energy is to know that your dreams aren't secondary to other people's expectations. I think that's so powerful. When do you think we as humans start to sort of bear the weight of other people's expectations of us?
Throughout our whole lives, to be honest. It starts from when your family tell you, oh, you need to go to school, you need to go to uni, you need to get a good job. And sometimes that's not everyone's destiny. Everyone's different and everyone has their own dreams. And I think a lot of the time we follow other people's dreams, but we don't follow our own. And I think as well, when I first started out, I was an accountant and I absolutely hated that job. No offense to accountants out here, if there's any, but it's so boring. So boring. I'm
How
too
did you end up
entertaining.
doing it?
I'm quite good at numbers. I might not be good at words and spelling, but I'm really good at numbers. So I got into it because I thought, you know what? Accountancy, you get good money, just get it done. But it drained the soul out of me. So I kept thinking to myself, oh, I really want to get into entertainment. I want to inspire other people. There's a story that I want to share with others. And I thought, you know what? I'm not going to follow other people's dreams. I'm not going to follow what my typical African parents said I should do. I'm going to try go to a different path and see. And I try encourage other people to do that because it in turn makes you a happier person because you're following your own destiny, not someone else's.
Yeah. And talking about you say typical African parents, I mean, they don't seem to fit what I imagine to be typical African parents. I think my dad, or were they, my dad definitely, I think he tried to be a typical African father, and he would say, you will do violin, you will go to university, you will, because I think, and it was all out of love because he thought that was what was best for me. He actually, I don't think, encouraged me to think about what I really wanted, I guess, out of life. But it was all totally out of love. But I definitely feel like he was sort of trying to be that African,
Yes.
The man.
Oh my God, yes. Because when I first started out, right, I said to them, or started social media. If you guys don't know, I do social media content creation. I'm on TikTok and Instagram, and I do a lot of comedy. So I make
extremely successful at it as well.
Thank you. I try, I try. So when I first told them that, I want to do content creation, they said, "Is this going to get you paid?" It's not all about getting paid, guys. Do you know what I mean? So it was just trying to explain that to them. And, they just think if you're not getting paid, then it's not worth doing. So trying to prove it to them over time and not getting paid was very difficult. So I was just told them, this is just passion, this is fun. So when it started to become serious, it was like, oh, can this be long term? So now they are more than happy. They're more than excited for me. They're asking, oh, what's the next post? Oh, maybe you should do this video idea. Maybe you should. They're extremely supportive now. Before, they were a bit apprehensive because I don't blame them. Being immigrants coming to this country, and it's a struggle to build themselves up, and then to have children and they're like, oh yeah, I just want to do something creative. It's their worst nightmare. So
and it's creative, but it's also a job that didn't exist 15 years ago, basically.
Exactly.
So it's completely new. I mean, this hasn't happened.
Yes, exactly. I agree. So completely new, completely different. And I think I've definitely changed their mindset on it, for sure.
And being successful and bringing in money through it. I mean, it's exactly, you followed your dream and you knew what you wanted and made it happen. For those who don't know, Fats talks about the commandments, about basically this way to lead one's life. And I really like, you make a differentiation, I think, between, like, basically suggest, like, the way you would talk to a friend. And I love that. I think you talk about the word commandment, and I think that's so great. It's sort of, like a Bible, a way to spearhead what we want and really go for it. Talk us through just a couple of those commandments that you talk about, and maybe the ones that I suppose stand out the most to you.
So the reason why I called it like 10 commandments, we follow the commandments of the Bible, and I thought, you know what, I want to command people to do these things, because if I say, maybe you should do this, you ain't going to take it seriously. So some of the commandments is to love you, and there I discuss how difficult it can be to actually love yourself and follow the journey of being someone that loves themselves. And I discuss stories about how difficult it was from being bullied to actually feeling like, okay, this is the one body that I have and I need to love it and enjoy it. So I talk about body confidence. I do that on my social media as well. I also talk about discovering new perspectives. I'm a traveler. I love traveling, places like Spain, Thailand. I've been to so many different places, America, and every single place I've been to, I find something new. I find out, oh my God, in this place they do this, in this place they do that, and it opens my mind. And I discuss that in my book as well. It's so important to do that. My first commandment as well is to be unexpected. Every time I walk into a room, I'm the most unexpected human that you'd ever see in your life. And for me, it's very draining because I don't know what people will think every time I walk in a building. I used to tell my friends that would introduce me to like their friends or family, please tell them that I'm little. Please don't surprise them, okay? Because every time being the surprise and the shock, it becomes so draining, and it becomes like a thing where I have to always explain. And I'm used to it now, but sometimes it gets tiring. And I always tell, and in my book, I tell everyone to not be afraid to be out of the norm, you know, to be what you want to be and to be someone that's unexpected. Because sometimes it is scary to be the one that looks different, you know? It's coming from someone that has to do it every single day. You know, I'm just advising you that it's okay to fit out the norm.
I remember that actually with one of my boyfriends, I actually wanted him to tell his parents to make sure he knew it. They knew I was mixed race, because I think I was just aware of that, and them both being Irish from a very sort of white part of the world. It sort of was something that I was really sort of aware of. It's just reminding me of that a little bit, just a touch. Which one of the commandments do you think is the most important to maintain, and perhaps maybe the most challenging to maintain?
Only doubt itself. Oh my God. I'm always doubting myself. And I'm sure everyone doubts themselves all the time. And it's something that is really hard to maintain because I talk a lot about positive self-talk and how I discovered that in a book called The Secret by Rhonda Burns and about manifestation. I never knew about positive self-talk, that you can counteract your negative thoughts and things like that. I thought, wow, okay, there's a new way of thinking here. So every time I think something negative, I'm like, okay, maybe think this way or think positively about this, you know? So the reason why I say it's hard to maintain is just because daily I find myself in challenges and I have imposter syndrome. Sometimes I think I don't belong in certain rooms. Sometimes I think, oh my God, how am I going to overcome this? Or I've got this new job, like the Paralympics. In my mind, I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? But I know I will do it because that's what I'm telling myself.
And you will smash it. There's
Thank
no
you.
doubt.
Hopefully I will. No, not hopefully, I will. So yeah, that one's hard to maintain, but I'm getting through it day by day.
I don't know if anyone who's just joined us, Fats, is going to be one of the people covering the Paralympics. And that's Channel 4, is it? It's just huge. Sorry. But it is. It's amazing. And it's just a testament to all the brilliant work that you've done and all the coaching that you do. It's absolutely fantastic. We're talking about fear and about facing our fears. What's the very first step to that? Because, of course, you have got this big challenge, let's say. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. But there might be some sort of fear attached. You've just never done it before, basically. If you were sort of 10 years in, we wouldn't be having this quite the same conversation, probably. So what would you say is the very first step to facing our fears?
The very first step is acknowledging your fears and knowing that it's a fear. It's a normal human emotion to be scared of things, right? But it's also taking the step to saying to yourself, I'm going to overcome it. You know, if you have a fear of something, a lot of the time people just steer away from it. But I think it's important to actually tell yourself that you're going to overcome it. Also, as well, I find it so important to just really, really think about, okay, if I go to the other side of this fear, is this going to make me a better person? You know, it's really important to think about that as well, because fear can just shut off a lot of opportunities and a lot of things that you will never think, oh, I could do. But if you go to the other side of fear, you know, it's amazing, honestly. I remember when I first started modeling and I got the job, which was scary. First of all, doing it was absolutely terrifying. It was scary. And then when they told me what it actually was, it was in my underwear. And I thought, oh my God, this is scary. Oh my God, this is my first job and it's going to be in my underwear. How am I going to tell my mum? Oh my God. So that was super, super scary. But I thought, okay, my first modeling job, it's in my underwear. Okay, but if I do this, I'm not going to be scared of doing any kind of, not any kind, not any, but like I won't be scared of modeling whatsoever. So after then, literally the sky was the limit. Like I could do any kind of, I could do loads of jobs basically, and it was amazing to actually do. So I've modeled for makeup brands, I've modeled for Gymshark, I've modeled for so many different brands that I never thought I'd ever do. So, and that was because I went to the other side of fear, you know.
And to go to the other side of fear, did you have to sort of envisage yourself having done it almost, and
Yes,
seen that
faking
kind of
it.
future in a sense? Yeah, well, that's it.
Yes, faking it till I made it, faking that confidence that I want to be. Hopefully, I will get, but just acknowledging that I'm just learning how to become me or become the person that I want to be. You know.
Absolutely. And I know comedy plays a massive part in your world and your life, and your Instagram and TikTok are so brilliant. And I love the reel at the gym with your fiance recently. It was so brilliant. So there's a reel where I think you've got the ropes.
Yeah,
you've got
I
these
got the
big
ropes.
which are those big heavy gym ropes, and then you cut to your fiance. What's he called? Alan, and it's Alan's little shoelaces. And it's so brilliant, and it really made me laugh. What role does comedy play in your life and making those sketches?
It helps me to be less awkward and other people to be awkward with my condition. I think it's so important to just laugh. Like, sometimes things are awkward, sometimes things are not how I want it to be, and sometimes I can look ridiculous, but if you're laughing with me, it's better than laughing at me. So I often like make fun out of myself, but like through comedy and educating people on how to treat little people. So there's this one particular video where I basically show how some parents kind of dismiss how I look. So the kid might be like, "Oh, mum, she's little," and then they're like, I don't know what to say. I have no idea," and it's so awkward because it's like you could just say she's just a little person. She's just like everyone else. So I demonstrate that in the video. But so many people were commenting saying, "Oh, kids don't know any better, blah, blah, blah." But that's why you educate them.
And this is where we start, and this is where we can get to with kids putting another child in a bin. You know, this is it. I was in last month, one of my friend's little kids ran up to me and said, "You look like a baboon." And the mum, my friend, just totally froze and was, I mean, she turned, I think, inside out with shame. And I was like, oh, wow, okay, you know, it's not something you expect somebody to say. And obviously, when the child's only 5, you think it's a tricky one because they're sort of old enough to know that that's actually very rude, if not having the racial associations with it. And I know that the mother just was absolutely mortified. And I think the work that you're doing is so vital. And of course, work around race. Again, last week, this little girl came up to me in a party. I live in the Cotswolds. This is probably why this is happening. I need to move back to London. And this girl was like, "Your hair must be so tangled." And she said, your dad, where is he?" And she got confused with my husband, who's only 7 years older than me. But she made a comment about him not being black. And it was just, you know, these conversations are so important as parents. I mean, I have to say, I've got a 2.5-year-old. I'm not quite equipped to deal with what she might be asking me. And so it's so important to be having these conversations, and really openly. And I have to say, didn't feel great after that happened. But you know, this is why it is so important to talk about it. I was taken back, and obviously she was as well. What's the reception?
Right. Honestly, like, I think that is terrible, and I do understand their children. But at the same time, I always find it so important to educate parents, to educate their children on discrimination and harmful things that they could say, you know, that could offend people. I think there's no limit on, well, I guess from the age they start talking and if you can teach children manners, you can teach them about discrimination and what to say and what not to say, and correcting them at the time as well. So that's why I do those videos, and I don't care about the backlash, because at least if it changed one parent, that's changing a whole different course of that child's future and other people's future around that child. So it's really important.
Couldn't be more important, actually. And talking about the backlash, what kind of backlash do you get? What kind of comments do you get in return?
In return, it's like, oh, you're not understanding. I am understanding. I'm the one facing it. So, yeah, a lot of parents don't understand that I'm just trying to educate you, that's all. But I think a lot of parents don't want to be preached that. That's why I do it in a comedic way. Because if I do a video where I say, you shouldn't be doing this, or you should be... No. I like to do it in a funny way where they can maybe see themselves, see their children, and then think, okay, this is the right way to move, or this is not the right way to move.
Because we spoke a bit, and you've spoken about the energy it takes to the reception that you get, and this is daily, and then now not having to. I know obviously it's a choice, you want to educate these parents, but this must take a lot more energy as well. So how do you keep your cup full, or half full? As full as possible, yeah.
What I do is my phone's always on silent. When I'm ready to look at the comment, when I'm ready to look at the comments and the backlash, then I'm ready, you know? And luckily, Instagram and TikTok have tools where you don't see such negative comments, which is good and very helpful. But sometimes I don't even look at my phone. I just post and go about my day. Which a lot of people find it hard to believe, because they think a lot of content creators are just constantly on their phone, but that's not me. Like, it's hard to be consuming it all the time and consuming the comments, whether they're, well, I love the positive comments, but some of them are really negative and nasty, so it's hard to consume that all the time.
What do you give support to anyone who's starting out in content creation and social media in that way? Because it's brutal, of course, as we know. And we are in a situation where something like Love Island is so attractive to young people, but then when they're in it, it's a very different situation, and we know what's happened post Love Island, and this is all sort of part of it, really. There are stars overnight, essentially, on social media. What advice do you give to anyone for sort of navigating that?
The advice I would give to anyone starting out on social media is to be patient. It is a long road for most people, and it's something that you have to progress in. I find that I'm very thankful for the early years when I was first starting out and I wasn't getting paid for anything. It was to acquire those skills that I am using today. And back in those days, I was just thinking, oh, when is this big break gonna happen? Just really enjoy it, trust the journey, pick a niche. If you don't want to pick a niche, that's fine. And a niche is like picking a particular thing that you want to do specifically online, whether it's comedy, fashion, whatever it may be. Yeah, and you mentioned Love Island. I get scared for people that get thrusted into stardom, because it's hard to deal with. It is, especially if you're an introvert not secretly, but secretly. Like, it's hard to deal with the constant attention. But if you have to really build yourself up to take the hate and take people writing nasty things on articles and things like that.
And of course, with overnight stardom, there's not really a chance to build up that.
Yeah. There's no chance to build up that. So,
are you recognised much as Fats Timbo? Are you recognised in the street? Do you get lots of people?
Yes, a lot of the time, every day. It was actually after the pandemic when I went on TikTok and everything started to open up. I started getting recognised. I was like, you recognise what? Me? So, to be honest with you, I do love getting recognised positively, because compared to being pointed at and stared at, I'd rather people recognize my work and love my work and tell me that they love my work more than anything. So I enjoy it, to be honest with you.
Brilliant. And you're prepared for this, the August that's about to come, because Paralympics, I remember I think was it when the Olympics was here, I think in London is when the Paralympics, I think really people threw themselves into it. It was so, so brilliant, which is amazing to see. I'm so excited that you're going to be such a big part of it. But you also run here your comedy night, Fats and Friends, and you promote newer comedians as well on the show. So how much do you support them? Because starting out in comedy, for me, that must be one of the most terrifying things, to stand on a stage and tell a joke. And I've had to do that as a host to kind of fill a bit. It's not my forte. So how do you support them?
I support them through helping them with my team. So my team actually helps them write their script as well, giving them that platform to start out, especially newer comedians that have never done it before. Going on stage and doing stand-up comedy, it's a lot of people's worst nightmare, but I'm so thankful they actually do it and actually go out of their comfort zone and try it. Because when I did it for the first time 2 years ago, I wanted to throw up. It was so terrifying, but I loved it afterwards. I loved it. I was just like, oh my God, I want to do this every single day. The writing process, the crowd interaction, them laughing, and some jokes landed flat, but I learned not to use them again. And I think it's just a process which is super scary, but the feeling you get being on stage and people laughing at your jokes is amazing. So that's what I give to the other comedians that are on my show, and just, they feel that for the first time and then they want to do it again and again and again. So it's really good.
My life coach recently talked about sitting with discomfort. I run a charity called Shower Box, actually. It's going on right now in London, and we give showers to anyone in need. It tends to be people on the streets, and also in Birmingham. And there's some tension sometimes between volunteers. That's often actually where most of my energy goes, is sort of working out, making sure everyone can get on and that kind of thing. And my life coach, I tried to tell this to my life coach, and she said, sitting with discomfort, because I'm trying to sort of patch it up all the time and make everything okay, and how can I? And actually some things are just bloody horrible and bloody awful, and you can't always solve it. And actually, being so reactive in the moment often doesn't actually help. Often just letting it sit a little bit and sit with discomfort, getting your head around it and working out how to proceed is often a better sort of way forward. And I just thought of that when you talked about jokes not landing, because I think sitting with that discomfort actually, and going, you see some comedians go, okay, that didn't work. I won't do that one again. And making it part of their routine. That must be a proper evolution, I think, as a comedian.
It really is. It's like, the first time that happened to me, I just wanted to run off on stage, off the stage. But I realised, you know what? We're going to carry on, because they're going to laugh at the next joke and I won't use that joke again, and that's okay. That's fine, And I think since then, it's made me realise, okay, if someone is feeling this type of way in front of me or says something uncomfortable to me, I'll sit in that discomfort and I'll never talk to them again, So I've learned how to just deal with it, cross it out, not because before I used to be like a proper people pleaser, and hang out with people that I visibly knew or saw that they didn't like me. But now I've learned to just, at that time, deal with it,
So many things were just going through my head, actually, all at once. I was just thinking so much. I mean, it's, I think to know at the time when something isn't serving you is quite hard, actually, I find. And being ready for those moments, like we've said, of someone's giving a comment. We're often not ready, are we, for this? And I think, and also if we were ready, I often find that maybe I'd be on the attack or sort of looking for it. Yeah. And I also don't want that. Yeah. So it feels like a real balance to be struck between not expecting someone to call you a baboon, but equally not having a comeback or not being. And I feel like it must take constant work. It does take constant work.
I always think to myself, but let's say I go to bed or whatever, and I think about that argument or comment. I think, why didn't I say this? Why didn't I say that? I should have said this. I should have said that. And then, I realized, okay, this is your processing time. You didn't process it at that time. How are you supposed to think how you're thinking now? So I always give myself grace in those moments and sympathy, and then realize, okay, how am I going to deal with it now? Maybe spend less time with this person, maybe distance myself, or maybe tell them, okay, I didn't like what you said about so-and-so, or just I learn how to deal with it when I do my processing time. So, and that's fine, and that's absolutely fine. Some people can come out with it straight away, and some people have to think about it.
And I do find that maybe if you're ready for it, you might move through the world in a very different way. I think I would say perhaps you put 1,000% of your energy into absolutely everything. So obviously we know we've got August coming up. What else do you want to throw your energy into?
I've recently became engaged, and
congratulations.
I'm going to put my energy into a wedding. So right now I'm doing that, and then I know next year I'm going to be full focused on that. So
is that happening next year?
Yeah, it's happening next year. It's going to be in a beautiful place in Cornwall outside. Hopefully the weather won't let me down, but we'll see.
What's it called where you're getting married?
In Cornwall.
What's it called though? Only because I got married in a place called Cornish TP Weddings on the 18th of June 2022. It was the worst weather.
Oh, no.
It was thunder and lightning. The good thing was it created a real intimacy but it was so bad. It was ethically bad. That won't happen. That won't happen. I know it.
Let's pray.
I know.
I really don't.
Said it. I hope I'm not manifesting that. Don't say it. But yeah, do you know whereabouts is it in Cornwall?
Treadwell Manor.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
I think I know around where that is.
Yeah, God help me. So, yeah, hopefully it goes well, and yeah, hopefully many more jobs. There's some jobs that I can't reveal, but maybe you'll find out when I go on TV and you'll see. So,
how are you preparing for the Paralympics? I know I keep bringing you back to that. I'm very excited.
I think I'm trying to go through the questions I would love to ask the athletes' families and loved ones in my mind. If, let's say, they broke a world record, I'd ask them, oh my God, how do you feel about so-and-so breaking a world record? What an achievement. So I'm just going through it in my head slowly but surely, and preparing myself so that I'm not starstruck or startled. That's the right word. Yeah. But I think I'll be okay. I'm chatty. I'm so chatty. I can chat with everyone, to be honest with you. So I think I'm just going to be myself. That's the main thing. I'm just going to be myself, not anyone else. And I hope it's done well for me so far. And I hope it does well for me in the Paralympics.
It really has. And just going to end on, I just love you talking about your stand-up and talking about the jokes that sort of didn't happen, but then the jokes that do. And I kind of feel like that's a bit sort of like life, really, the parts that sort of don't work out so well. I was going to say fail, but the parts that aren't so great. Yeah. And then just pushing through those, which is what you've done so well, and absolutely smashing everything that you're doing, which is just wonderful. So please join me in thanking Fats Timbo for a wonderful conversation, and all the best for everything coming up.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Thank you for listening to our Wow Talks podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to subscribe and leave us a review. And we'd love for you to share your own wisdom on wellness. Join the conversation, share this episode with a friend, or follow us on social media for more updates at Wisdom on Wellness. Until next time.